One day, Kangwoo went to hell, where only the strongest survive. He stayed in hell for 10,000 years and became the Lord of Hell. Balzard, his servant, was sweating in the presence of the Supreme Lord, for he knew that he was extremely evil. Kangwoo demands silence, and everyone falls silent. Everyone kneeled before Kangwoo. Kangwoo, the Supreme Lord of the Demons, exuding his evil aura, makes all the demons tremble in fear. Balzard, kneeling, says, "Welcome back, my lord." And Kangwoo orders them to be silent because he wants absolute silence. He intensifies his ominous aura even more. All the demons tremble in fear in the presence of Kangwoo and become paralyzed. Kangwoo playfully says, "Authority of predation." And Balzard even chokes, for the power of the predation skill is so absurd that it absorbs any demon body it touches. It was with this skill that Kangwoo managed to annihilate all 7 demon archdukes. Everyone is terrified, thinking that the Lord of Demons is angry. Balzard froze, and not even a needle could pass through. Balzard feels that, finally, he will be devoured. Kangwoo says he spent 10,000 years in that place. In that hell, each day is just killing and more death, where only the strong survive. Then, Kangwoo, removing his legendary helmet, shouts, saying that the place has nothing. Balzard thought that his master was hungry and said, "We have food prepared for our lord." Suddenly, 2 demons appear carrying a huge tray. Inside it was Folkhaller, who was one of the leaders of the 7 factions of demon archdukes. "This octopus looks delicious, don't you think?" "How gross." Immediately, Kangwoo grabs the octopus and throws it at Balzard's forehead. Kangwoo says he doesn't want to eat octopus, he wants to eat. And he pauses dramatically, leading Balzard to think that he would be the main course. Kangwoo continues and says, "I want to eat kimchi stew." Everyone starts wondering what kimchi stew might be. Each demon imagines something. Some think it must be the ultimate dish, filled with meat, slime, and blood. Balzard, very excited, speaks, "Lord, which creature should we bring, the head or the entrails for you to eat?" Kangwoo lets out a big sigh and says that kimchi is not that, leaving the demons even more confused because they definitely have no idea what this kimchi stew could be. The demons keep trying to guess what the dish might be. Kangwoo, like many otakus, says that he also wants to read comics and watch soap operas. And Balzard, kneeling, exclaims that his servants cannot satisfy the Supreme Lord of Hell because they lack knowledge. After that, Balzard asks to be killed because he is an incompetent and weak servant. Kangwoo says that he also wanted love in that place. Immediately, everyone stops when they hear a delicious voice. And Lilith enters, saying, "And don't you have me?" With her perfect curves, Lilith approaches Kangwoo. Lilith is the succubus queen, and all the demons are enchanted and in love with her beauty. The demon queen is the personification of demonic beauty. Lilith says that Kangwoo already has her heart, but for Lilith, that is not enough. She wants to give herself entirely to him. In that delicious way, Kangwoo freezes just by thinking about it. The succubus started to go into heat, and Kangwoo, seeing that, orders her not to approach him. Lilith says, "Since I am the queen and you are the king, then we have to stick together and get all messy." She jumps on Kangwoo with her sticky tentacles. At that moment, one demon feels jealous, another feels envious, and another feels embarrassed by the steamy scene between the two. Now that you've seen Queen Lilith, what did you think? Isn't she really the most beautiful thing? With her 10 eyes and sticky tentacles, she says to Kangwoo, "Come, baby, my eye is wide open for you. I am even blinking." Kangwoo turns his face away to avoid seeing her blinking. He clenches his fist and says, "Look at this." Kangwoo was thinking of punching her in the head. However, Lilith misunderstands and thinks Kangwoo is interested in her blinking. Kangwoo tells Balzard and Lilith to come closer because he wants to talk about something else. Kangwoo asks if, finally, the preparations are ready. Balzard and Lilith said yes. Kangwoo says his goodbyes and says he has to leave immediately. He gives a warning. "Don't even think about following me. This is an order, not a warning, and whoever follows me, I will gut." Kangwoo, seeing that they are upset, tells them not to be like that because he will return. "Just kidding." Sometime later, we see a bizarre demon, the mage Amon, performing the ritual to open the spatial rift, which is in the middle of the statues of the demon gods. Amon says, "The portal is stabilized. The preparations are complete." Lilith cries over the departure of her beloved lord. Balzard and Lilith are crying while their master takes off all his armor. With firm steps, Kangwoo heads toward the spatial rift. Soon after, Aemon explains that, to pass through the portal without problems, the Lord must empty himself of the power he gained by killing the 7 demon archdukes. Thinking that he will finally go home after spending 10,000 years in hell, Kangwoo begins to strip himself of his demonic power. So much mana poured out of Kangwoo that it quickly filled the core of the hearts of 10,000 demons. Aemon was stunned by the absurd amount of mana his master had. The statues of Baal and the other false gods began to glow magnificently. The dimensional fabric began to crack, and Kangwoo began to think that, even if he returned home, everyone and everything he knew had probably disappeared millennia ago. But no place will be as horrible as here in the 9th hell. Although Lilith was devastated, crying, Kangwoo was already inside the portal. With a mischievous look, he glances back and sees Balzard and Lilith melting in tears. "Don't cry," said Kangwoo, slowly moving away toward the rift. Lilith said her heart was exploding from so much love. Bubbles of love, sticky and viscous. Lilith asks to go with the king, and he already looks at her with a disgusted face. He touches the terror and jumps into the portal. She says she will follow Kangwoo, and he, already at a point where he could no longer go back or be followed, starts smiling. Looking back, he waves and says that he hated meeting them. Knowing they would never meet again, he heads toward the core of the dimensions. When he arrives at the core, everything seemed normal. Kangwoo starts smiling, but then the core began to act strangely, with lightning coming out of it. Soon after, a message appeared saying that a rift had been detected in the core, and the dimensional defense mechanism, Gaia, had been activated. The core changes color from blue to red. The core reached the limit of the power it could accumulate, and the defense mechanism for all dimensions was activated. Kangwoo knows something is wrong. Soon after, the Gaia system becomes overloaded with energy and shocks Kangwoo, trying to kill him. But Kangwoo is too strong, as he has a lot of power and defense. Therefore, Gaia failed in its assassination attempt but concluded that it is impossible to kill Kangwoo. However, the Gaia system didn't give up. Since it couldn't kill him, it would try to seal his power. Very evil, this Gaia. Kangwoo gets angry and heads toward the Gaia core. He says to the core, "I am going to destroy you. Damn it." Suddenly, he feels something strange and says, "Oops, who's paying the electricity bill? Who turned off the lights? Who? Hell!" And he passes out. Moments later, he wakes up with the sunlight in his eyes. He looks around and starts to feel the breeze, the sun, and the wind. Kangwoo, after millennia, finally sees a lot of greenery. Waking up in pain, he checks his body, thinking he might have broken something. Kangwoo notices that a status window is appearing before him and wonders what it is. He checks his attributes in the window and sees that he still has the predation skill. However, most of the power was diminished by the ceiling. Kangwoo also realizes that he is at level 1. He notices that at level 10, he will gain a new skill. However, this new skill will only be revealed when he reaches level 10. Kangwoo is very pissed off because Gaia sealed his powers. He hears a noise and immediately looks back, seeing some creatures coming toward him. These creatures come at Kangwoo with great fury, aiming to kill him. Moments later, the creatures are already on top of Kangwoo. Kangwoo knows that these little creatures didn't exist on Earth and soon concludes that he is not on Earth. He prepares an evil Kamehameha, but fails miserably because he forgot that his powers were sealed. But Kangwoo is quick and thinks fast. He says, "Since I don't have magic, I'll go with my fists." Kangwoo is left with a single power. However, this power is a multiple hack because it splits into several others. It was with this single power, authority, that he dominated the entire hell. He invokes the authority of the blade and immediately slices 2 goblins, earning 2 experience points, and leveling up to level 2. However, there are still 2 more goblins to kill. Kangwoo slices them, leveling up to level 4. It only took 1 second for him to kill all 4 goblins. Kangwoo wonders what these monsters are and notices something good. Just cut them and they bleed and die. Right after that, Kangwoo tests the predation skill, completely consuming the bodies of the monsters. He notices that his demonic energy increased. Kangwoo is pissed off because he is no longer in hell. So how is there demonic energy here? After the predation feast, only bones remain. Kangwoo, thinking that he was no longer on Earth, gets very angry because he had made all the preparations without any mistake. But suddenly, he hears a scream and immediately thinks it's his imagination, thinking he's hearing things. Moments later, Kangwoo hears another scream for help, but this time, it's louder and clearer. Realizing the direction from where the sound is coming, he, using his hack, the authority of speed, takes off at an incredibly high speed. Kangwoo hadn't heard a human voice in 10,000 years, and the only female voice he'd heard during that time was Lilith's. Arriving at the location, he saw a dozen goblins surrounding someone. The person said, "Please, someone help me." When he saw her, he couldn't believe it. It was 2 eyes, a nose, a mouth, and big breasts. Kangwoo exclaimed, "I can't believe there are no tentacles." Kangwoo cried with joy and immediately noticed the goblins were charging with all their fury at the girl. The beautiful girl, already hopeless, closed her eyes to see nothing anymore. After a while, with her eyes closed, she heard the sound of flesh being torn, screams, and then silence. Not understanding what was happening, she opened her eyes and saw Kangwoo finishing off the last goblin. Half a second was all it took Kangwoo to kill all 10 goblins. Approaching the beautiful girl, he extended his hand to lift her up. The beautiful, cute, busty girl thanked her savior. The moment Kangwoo touched her hand and felt its softness, he thought he was in heaven after so many millennia in hell. Kangwoo fell in love and had a love-struck expression. He felt as light as a feather, floating on clouds. The girl kindly thanked him again, saying, "Thank you so much." A while later, she asked if there was another reason he wasn't letting go of her hand. Kangwoo, not being foolish, after 10,000 years without seeing anyone, pulled the girl closer to him. Out of nowhere, Kangwoo asked if she wanted to marry him. If you've made it this far, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And if you can share it at least in one WhatsApp group, I'd appreciate it.
This is part 2 of Kangwoo's story. Our video will begin with a romance, and then with him demonstrating his powers, and finally an excellent fight where he shows his superiority. We stopped at the part where he's looking love-struck, asking for her hand in marriage. She looks shocked, and he realizes he's gotten carried away. So he apologizes and lets go of her hand. Immediately after, he asks about her injury, and she says it was nothing and almost collapses. Kangwoo is quick and catches her in his arms, and she drops her phone. Kangwoo is startled because he recognizes that shape. He looks closely and thinks, a cell phone. And the damsel says, "Ouch, ouch," and he says he'll give her first aid. Ripping a piece of his cape, he bandages her injured leg and realizes he's speaking English, and she understands. She thanks him for paying attention to her, and he can't take his eyes off her. As he already has the profession of pickpocket, her phone is already in his hand, but not wanting to take anything from a fair lady, he returns the cell phone to her. With a swift glance, he looks at the date on the phone. She says it will be difficult to walk, and he, without much information about this world, asks her, "What are you doing in a place like this?" The beautiful woman replies that she awoke as a player yesterday and was hunting alone in the ranking portal. And he starts to think, awoke, player, and asks her, "So what level are you?" She replies that she is level 6, and asks what level he is, and Kangwoo replies that it's probably lower than hers. She says she has her reasons for being there alone, and he says he also has his reasons. And then she realizes she's in a forest, sitting on the ground next to Kangwoo, and quickly gets up, suggesting they leave. He, like a gentleman, asks again if she's all right, and says, "Let me give you a hand," and says, "So where are we going?" Kangwoo is happy because after 10,000 years he talked to a person. Arriving at the entrance, he is astonished by the size of the portal. She looks at him, smiles, and says, "Let's go now." And he notices that the portal is a spatial rift, and that there is no mechanism sustaining that rift. And going through this type of portal for the first time, he is amazed by what he is seeing. He soon begins to see people asking for members for random groups, warrior with shield, mage, but they just don't want rogues. Kangwoo only sees people with a mouth and nose and no tentacles. Kangwoo thinks, it's full of humans. Trembling with happiness, Kangwoo begins to cry because he really managed to return. And the cute girl had an idea of how to thank him for being rescued. She bows and asks Kangwoo to go home with her. And since it's been 10,000 years without anything, he gets scared and thinks silly things. And she is really very grateful for having been saved by him. And Kangwoo can't stop having dirty thoughts. Suddenly, 2 soldiers say, "You two wait a moment, come here." And they say they need to confirm their identities. The cute girl says, "Just a moment, let me get my ID." And Kangwoo thinks, here is no way, I'm going to have to use that. And uses another stolen power, Authority of the Blind of the Demon Dentalion. This ability manipulates the target's perception and vision. And so the soldier confirmed their identities and then let them pass. Arriving at the apartment where she lives, she warns Kangwoo that they don't have an elevator and they will have to climb the stairs, and Kangwoo is very happy making an initial reconnaissance of the old building, and notices the smell of an old building, narrow stairs, cold handrail, and dusty window. And he was even happier because it is Alice's house. Alice is the name of the beautiful girl. At her house, Kangwoo starts to think a lot of silly things. And his unhappy face is very funny when she says, "Mom!" The girl doesn't live alone. She lives with her mother. The mother asks if her daughter did what she told her, going there with the group. The daughter lies and says yes. Then the daughter shows Kangwoo saying that he helped her in a very difficult situation. Look at his Mineta face thinking he was going to get something else. The mother thanks him for saving her daughter and says she doesn't know how to repay him, inviting Kangwoo in. Still with a Mineta-like face, he thanks her. The mother goes to the kitchen and asks for her daughter's help, and only now does she notice that there were many messages from her mother. Then Kangwoo remembers the cell phone and that he needs more information about this world. Afterward, he lies blatantly, saying he lost his phone and asking if he could borrow hers. She lends it to him and says the food will be ready soon. Returning after 10,000 years, everything seemed very interesting to him. I bet he'll check the final chapter of One Piece, but he's focused and goes for information instead of gossip. He disappeared in 2018 and has now returned in the year 2023. He was in hell for 10,000 years, returning in time 5 years after his disappearance. He read a message about the 22nd of February, 2018, the day of the calamity. Several portals opened all over the world and firearms were useless against them, and humanity united against the monsters. After that, the first player appeared in the United States, and countless players appeared all over the world. Seeing the date, he remembers that this was the day he was taken to hell. And he wonders if he was sucked into a portal that day, but realizes it's all speculation. Alice says, "The food is ready!" Kangwoo couldn't believe what he was seeing. This is! The girl didn't know, but she made the dish he had been wanting to eat for 10,000 years, kimchi stew. "Let's eat!" He grabs a spoon, dives into the soup, and kimchi! Upon eating the first spoonful, he can't say anything else, and they look astonished at the sounds he was making. And Kangwoo starts eating non-stop, and without saying anything else, devouring the food. Kangwoo spent 10,000 years in hell. The only thing he ate during that time was demon flesh, and he had to eat many demons to survive. Demon flesh doesn't satiate and has a horrible garbage-like taste. He ate, and the only thing that kept him sane was the desire to return home. And he did everything to return to Earth. Crying with joy, he couldn't believe he was back and eating what he wanted so much. The mother and the girl look at him in astonishment because he was crying. And he says, "Alice, truly, your food was delicious." And she, embarrassed, says, "Thank you." And she apologizes that this was the only food she could give him. And asks, "Was it good?" He said yes, and asks, "Can I have seconds?" And devours another bowl. And since he was eating non-stop, she decided to bring the pot closer to him. Now he has a Luffy-like face while eating. But suddenly the apartment door is destroyed, and mother and daughter look on in astonishment as someone very angry has just entered. And a strong guy appears at the door yelling for Alice. And the hothead enters yelling at Alice, saying she can't enter the portal on her own. She gets very angry and tells him to get out. He can't believe she had the nerve to say that to him. Then she yells, "I told you to get out, Taehun." And he starts to think, this crazy woman is kidding me. Does she think she's something just because she became a player? And he makes fun of her. He gets angry and punches a large hole in the wall, saying that his level is far superior to hers. She yells at him not to come near. "You must be missing Kangwoo. Me too, what could he be doing?" Back to our story. Taehyun glares at her mother, who trembles with fear and starts humiliating her family, saying that her father died early and her mother earns pennies. And Alice yells that her family is like this because of him. And Taehyun says, "Forget it," grabs her by the arm and drags her to the door. And tells him to let her go because she will never go to that trash guild. And laughing at her, he says he's going to put her on a very good team. Then she shows how to fight when you don't have much strength and bites him. And he slaps her in the face. The girl's mother becomes desperate and comes running to help her. And he calls her a bitch, asks if she thinks she's going to survive just by doing good deeds, and says more, "You should have come calmly as my tribute. You think you are a player? Then let's face each other for real." And her mother stands between the two. I was left wondering if this guy is this lady's son and Alice's brother. Alice's mother, taking his hand, begs him to stop. The arrogant Taehyun says, "Let go of me, old woman," and then slaps the old woman in the face. Alice is desperate and goes to help her mother. Taehyun yells that annoying people like them are always like this. And Alice glares at Taehyun. And he says, "What are you going to do staring at me like that, you weakling? You are weak, and I am a second stage awakened. Do you think you have a chance? Then come at me. You are not strong, and the only thing you have is a pretty face." And Taehyun says, "I am giving you an order. You are going to join my guild." But suddenly, Taehyun begins to notice the surroundings and see our hero eating like tea here is no tomorrow. And Taehyun says, "What the hell is this?" A fight inside the house and Kangwoo just eating. Then Taehyun lets go of her face and goes towards our hero. And says, "Do you think this is some famous restaurant?" And Kangwoo just keeps eating. And Taehyun exclaims, "Bastard can't even read the atmosphere." Taehyun starts to get our hero's attention, but is completely ignored. Let Kangwoo eat. Taehyun scratches his head and kicks the table, yelling loudly, "You bastard." And Kangwoo freezes, watching everything fly. Imagine what's going to happen. After 10,000 years without eating decent food, someone kicks your food. The hero despairs, seeing all his food on the floor. Taehyun, looking down, asks, "What's up with this idiot?" Taehyun asks the girl where she found this beggar. The hero starts to cry, seeing his food on the floor, and soon Taehyun approaches to kick him in the ribs. Kangwoo, Supreme Lord of the Nine Hells, and he looks at Taehyun, already exuding a demonic aura. Taehyun is startled to see that. "How dare you!" exclaims Kangwoo. And Taehyun sees the time of our hero in demon form. Kangwoo says, "How dare you spill my kimchi stew?" Taehyun's fear passes, and he starts to get angry, and prepares a serious punch full of mana. And with little fires coming out of his hand, he thinks he must have seen something wrong, that he must be imagining things. Suddenly, someone hits his hand with a spell, and he looks around, asking who did that stupid thing. And we saw that it was Alice, yelling for our hero to run away. But she has no idea how angry Kangwoo is. Kangwoo gets up and advances on Taehyun. And she looks blank, not understanding what is happening. Taehyun is surprised by Kangwoo's speed, and soon realizes he's going to be hit on his left side. And Taehyun is surprised as Kangwoo faints and then delivers a knee strike. Taehyun recovers and tries to counter Kangwoo. And Kangwoo delivers a strong punch to his face and follows up with a kick, breaking 2 of Taehyun's ribs. Taehyun grabs Kangwoo's leg, saying that it didn't even hurt, and tries to punch Kangwoo again. But once again, he is countered by the hero. Taehyun's nose is bloody, but he still hasn't given up, and tries again to land a serious punch to Kangwoo's head. But he takes another rib-breaking punch, and falls to all fours in pain with several broken ribs, and asks himself, who is this person? But Kangwoo has only just begun his massacre, and steps hard on the arrogant Taehyun's head. But Taehyun still hasn't given up. Neither has Kangwoo, thrusting the authority blade into Taehyun's arm, and speaks close to Taehyun's ear. "Stop the drama, you brat. I am not done yet. This is all for you ruining the kimchi stew." Taehyun is surprised and asks why he's doing this just for kimchi stew. He lifts him by the hair and says, "Just. You said just kimchi stew?" Taehyun is already terrified, knowing things will go badly. And again, Kangwoo slams his face into the ground with all his might, and slams his head on the ground once, twice, 3, 4, 5, 10 times. And seething with rage, Kangwoo says, "Hey, Taehyun, when I say 1, you'll say kimchi stew is. And when I say 2, you'll say a sacred food. And yell it. 1. Quiches." But Taehyun forgets to yell, and Kangwoo buries the blade deep into his arm. 2. A sacred food. No, you are doing it all wrong. You have to yell. Like you were praying to God. Like you were trying to win a girl's heart. And Kangwoo yells at Taehyun. Yell with all your might and with great pride. Kimchi stew is a sacred food, Taehyun yells. And Kangwoo, like a good torturer, says it's horrible, and let's go again. And Taehyun, with broken ribs, a bleeding arm, a broken tooth, a bleeding nose, gathers all his strength and yells, "Kimchi stew is a sacred food." Kangwoo is satisfied and removes the blade from Taehyun's arm. Now the scene from the beginning is reversed. It's Kangwoo who is standing and Taehyun on the ground, and Kangwoo says, "Never underestimate kimchi stew again in your life." Taehyun, crying, mumbles, "Who is this psychopath?" If you liked it, leave a like, subscribe, and share. Write in the comments part 3 and I'll bring part 3. And if you could please subscribe because it takes a lot of work to make these videos. See you in the next video.